The world stopped spinning the moment Senator John Kennedy stepped up to the podium, his voice cutting through the humid Louisiana air like a thunderclap. "Today, I stand before you with news that will redefine our future," he declared, his gray eyes burning with an intensity that silenced the buzzing crowd of reporters and onlookers. Cameras flashed, microphones hovered, and a collective breath was held as the seasoned politician, known for his sharp wit and Southern charm, prepared to unveil a secret that had been buried for decades. This wasn't just another political speech. This was the announcement that would change everything. For weeks, rumors had swirled around Washington, whispers of a discovery so profound it could alter the course of humanity. Kennedy, a man who had spent 30 years in the Senate fighting for his constituents, had always been a beacon of hope for the struggling families of Baton Rouge. His weathered face, etched with lines from years of hard-fought battles, carried the weight of a man who knew the stakes. Behind him stood his trusted aide, Clara DuPont, a young woman with a fierce determination in her eyes. Clara had grown up in the flood-ravaged parishes, losing her home to Hurricane Katrina as a child. She'd clawed her way through college on scholarships, driven by a dream to make a difference. Now, at Kennedy's side, she trembled with anticipation, her heart pounding as she clutched a folder containing the evidence that would back his words. The announcement was simple yet staggering. A team of scientists, funded in secret by Kennedy's office, had discovered a renewable energy source buried deep beneath the Gulf of Mexico, a fusion-like technology that could power the world without fossil fuels. The implications were immediate and overwhelming. No more oil spills devastating the coastlines Clara had grown up loving. No more families like hers struggling to pay skyrocketing energy bills. But the revelation came with a challenge that threatened to unravel everything. Powerful oil magnates, whose livelihoods depended on the status quo, began a fierce campaign to discredit the findings. Death threats poured into Kennedy's office, and Clara found herself targeted, her apartment broken into one stormy night. The intruders left a chilling message: "Stop, or you're next." Kennedy, undeterred, rallied his team. He called on Dr. Elias Moreau, a brilliant but reclusive physicist who had spearheaded the discovery. Elias, a widower whose wife had died in a refinery explosion years ago, was driven by a personal vendetta against the oil industry. His hands shook as he presented the data to a skeptical congressional committee, his voice breaking as he recounted the night he lost her. "This technology is my redemption," he said, tears glistening. Clara, moved by his story, worked tirelessly to organize public support, rallying communities across the South with emotional town halls where she shared her own past. The people responded. Ordinary folks who had lost homes, jobs, and hoped to. Environmental disasters stood with her, their voices rising in a chorus of defiance. The opposition grew ruthless. A smear campaign painted Kennedy as a reckless dreamer, and Elias's credibility was attacked with fabricated scandals. Clara faced the hardest moment when her younger brother, Marcus, begged her to quit, fearing for her life. "I can't lose you too," he sobbed, recalling their parents' deaths in the floods. Torn, Clara confided in Kennedy, who took her hands and said, "We're fighting for them, Clara, for every child who deserves a better world." That resolve steeled her. She pushed forward, leaking the scientific data to independent researchers who verified its authenticity, turning the tide of public opinion. The turning point came during a live televised debate. Kennedy, facing a smug oil lobbyist, unleashed a passionate defense. "You've profited while our people drowned," he roared, his voice cracking with emotion. "This discovery isn't just science, it's salvation." The lobbyist faltered, and as the camera panned to the audience, tears streamed down the faces of viewers who had lived the struggles he described. The next day, a coalition of environmental groups and everyday citizens marched on Washington, their signs reading, "Kennedy's Vision, Our Future." The pressure mounted, and the Senate voted to fund a pilot project for the energy source. Months later, as the first clean energy plant hummed to life off the Louisiana coast, Kennedy stood with Clara, Elias, and Marcus, watching the horizon. The plant's glow reflected in their eyes, a symbol of resilience. Clara hugged her brother, whispering, "We did it for them." Elias, a faint smile breaking through his grief, nodded. Kennedy addressed the crowd, his voice steady. "This is proof that when we fight for each other, we can move mountains or save a planet." The story ended not with triumph alone, but with a promise. A world where hope outlasts hardship, where every voice matters, and where the earth itself gets a second chance. As the camera panned out, the inspiring message lingered. Change begins. With courage and together, humanity can rewrite its destiny.